These are the 7 VTubers who perfectly represent each of the 7 deadly sins, starting with lust, the sin of excessive and disordered desire for sexual pleasure. And the VTuber that aligns with this is Apricot Froot. She's an English VTuber and illustrator who first debuted in November 2020 as one of the founding members of VShojo, but she's now independent. Aside from that, she's also known for 2 things: her flirty, suggestive humor, and her long-running cheating history. Apricot was married to a US serviceman, and since her husband was deployed overseas, she was accused of having a secret online relationship with someone else while he was away, especially after the internet found out she'd been sending intimate photos to this person. Well, actually, it was said there was more than one person, and one of them was a man named Cinna Styx. The thing is, aside from a single screenshot convo with him, there's no other definitive proof. To address the controversy, in September 2024, Apricot released a 90-page document on her official account explaining her side. In it, she laid out a timeline of events and described years of emotional, verbal, and sexual abuse from her ex, who served in the US Army. Yikes. She said the relationship began when she was 19, that she never wanted the marriage, and that he used her to keep his military housing benefits. She called the marriage a traumatic event, not a real one. And nowhere in the document did she admit or confirm cheating. Even after that, her image stayed the same. Her streams are full of flirty jokes and dirty humor. She appeared on Lewdcast, a VTuber podcast built on adult humor and sex-positive bits, and her Race Queen Apricot merch pushed pinup style art with revealing outfits and poses. But what about pride? The sin of thinking too highly of yourself, or refusing to admit when you're wrong, even when the truth is obvious, to the point that you lose touch with reality, which actually fits Millie Parfait. Because of her pride and hubris, she fell from grace, just like the angel Lucifer. She was once a flagship Oshi for many Filipinos, loved for being relatable and down to earth. But the moment the whole Nijisanji collapse happened, and instead of staying quiet, she defended the company, even when it was already being called out for how badly it treated its own talents. At the time, that included the situation with Selen Tetsuki. It got to the point where Millie told her fans to stop spreading misinformation and clickbait. And when the entire internet started calling Niji a black company, she still tried to argue it wasn't, even going out of her way to explain what a black company actually means.
Characteristics of a black company. Number 1, long working hours.
This lady has so much pride she became delusional, even when the company she was protecting was doing shady things right in front of her. Even when the whole world was pointing it out, she still refused to see it. But pride wasn't the only sin happening inside Nijisanji En. Next comes another VTuber who was driven by greed, the sin of excessive and selfish desire for wealth, possessions, power, or status. Actually, it could be anything, like attention, which is something Enna Alloutte did. During the Selen Tetsuki meltdown in early 2024, Enna told her viewers, "Don't waste your time digging for the truth."
I'm just saying that, don't waste your time trying to dig for the truth.
At the time, Selen had just been terminated and the backlash was intense. So saying that wasn't just a dick move. A lot of people also took it as her trying to shut down discussion and keep the focus on herself. Also, back in their Nijisanji En group Etheria, Enna and Millie had their own share of drama with Reimu and Nina. After leaving, Nina came back as Matara Khan and said a lot of girls didn't really like her back then, that she wasn't allowed to address rumors, and that she kept her circle tight while she was in therapy. She didn't mention any names, but she made it clear she felt really left out, and the attention always stayed with the trio. Even though nothing was said directly, If you think about it, that kind of behavior is attention greedy in its own way, keeping the spotlight close and leaving someone else in the dark. But what happens when the sin isn't about wanting more? It's about barely trying at all. Sloth is the sin of simply not trying. Basically, just being lazy. And the perfect example is Nakiri Ayame, because she barely streams. Her activity is way lower than most VTubers, and her breaks can drag on for weeks, months, even years. It seems a little more appropriate to call them hiatuses. That's why there's an ongoing meme about it. The strongest stream slacker of today is Gura, while the stream slacker of history is Ayame. So every time Ayame goes live, it's like the second coming of Christ. Everyone was like, we are so back. And the thing is, even though she's barely active, she still pulls crazy views. Unlike Nux Taku, the perfect example of wrath, the sin of intense anger, rage, or hatred, a desire for vengeance that goes beyond reason. Nux presents himself as the villain and often builds his videos around confrontation, rage baiting, and controversy. He hates Nijisanji, releasing countless videos calling out and attacking the company, exposing their management issues, criticizing how they treat their talents, and going after them every time something new happens. If there's a new statement, a tweet, a leak, or even a rumor, he circles back to it, pushing it again and again. Nux is the kind of guy who positions himself as the one willing to say what others won't. He's a master of extreme criticism and provocation, the living embodiment of wrath. The next sin takes that same intensity, but it doesn't feed on hate. It feeds on excess. Gluttony isn't just about consuming too much food. It's about consuming too much of, well, pretty much anything, like attention, affection, and validation. A perfect example of that is Vox Akuma. He farms validation on purpose. Boyfriend experience ASMR, flirty prompts, and streams designed to keep all eyes and emotions on him. He invites thirsty engagement and makes content out of it, asking fans for their most explicit reactions and reading them on stream. He's always flirting, posting thirst traps, and playing sad boy on socials to pull sympathy, feeding on the rush of affection and reaction. Yet, what would you do if that desire changed from material things to actual people? Envy is resentment towards someone else's success, mixed with the urge to take it or destroy it so they can't have it, which fits Sinder. She became possessive over an artist she valued, wanting that artist's work and attention to stay with her. When other VTubers reached out to commission from the same person, she and her manager interfered, discouraging projects, canceling deals, and creating tension between the artist and her potential clients. But why? She was afraid of losing what made her stand out. When someone else got close to having a similar model or design, she saw it as a threat. That feeling, wanting others to stay one step below you, drives envy more than anything. And aside from that, it could also be jealousy. Seeing others approach something you see as yours and trying to block them from having it. Even in her own words, she admitted feeling resentment towards certain VTubers and jealousy toward others. She even manipulated her manager and boyfriend, using him as a tool to act on her resentment, blacklisting certain VTubers, stirring tension, and enforcing her personal grudges through him. Later, she released a 1,000-page document defending herself, which only showed that she doesn't represent just one deadly sin.